Good afternoon, everyone. So I will start with the next session, which is Innovate, Integrate, Automate. What does innovation mean to you? Yes, please. So here's one definition. Please go for it. Thinking outside the box. Good one. Any other input? What does innovation mean to you? Yes, please. Whoa, that's a powerful one. Testing boundaries. Thank you. So innovation means different things, but basically it's going, back to our theme. How do we do beyond, what do we do beyond best practices? How do we do more? And, one of the definitions that, there's so many definitions, but the one that we picked for the session was turning an idea into a solution that adds value, because if it doesn't add value, it's not necessarily innovative. It's not changing how you do things today from a customer's perspective. So to us, as in BAS, we strongly believe that we need to continuously innovate to make sure that whatever we do for our customers, that we are adding value from their perspective. And how do we add value is when we make their lives easier in whatever shape or form, right? So at BAS, we have the culture of continuous innovations, and what I'm going to share throughout this presentation is what we've done, some really creative, innovative ideas and how we've helped customers. And again, that's to help you think about how you as an organization do things, not necessarily just in a standard best practice manner, but beyond, do much more in an efficient manner and work smarter. So I've picked a few other definitions, again, just, to get to that bottom line of why not just technology companies, but everybody in the room who's driving, to drive your business, to drive value to your customers, what do you need to do? And here are some additional definitions. Application of ideas that are useful, staying relevant, very important, right? It doesn't matter what industry, but you need to be staying on top of the changes. Innovation is a great idea executed brilliantly and communicated in a way that is intuitive. Introduction of a new product or service, which we at BAS continuously do and thrive for to make sure that you stay ahead of the curve, that add value to the organization. And a fundamental way that a company brings constant value to their customers' business life. Again, to us, value and customers are two key factors that we thrive on, and consequently, they're shareholders and stakeholders. So the entire community. So when we bring in a solution to you that is creative and that has helped other clients, we have all these factors in mind. Implementing of creative ideas, we talked about that. Anything that is new, useful, and surprising. So those are, I think we can all get a degree in, and we understand what innovation means. But why is it important to innovate? Feedback? Remain relevant, that's right. That's one of the one that I picked as well. Innovation is necessary for companies to adapt and overcome challenges of change. Change, as we all know, is inevitable. So before I go into sharing some of the things that we've innovated, we believe that we have been really creative and helped our customer differentiate in their own industry sectors, I want to just go through a few things. And one thing when you are trying to do something different in your organization, when you want to be innovative, bring change for better, one of the things that we've learned and that I would like to share with you is that ensure that you are asking the questions that are not too open-ended, because we can't solve the world issues in one single day. Try to be concise and ask well-defined questions, right? So, for example, it is taking me 3 days to process my 500 orders, right? How can I cut that down to 2 or 1 day? So that's still a broad question, because nobody has the clear answer, but you're putting the specifics around what the current situation is and where you need to be. Right, so that's something that we've learned as a team, and I wanted to share with you. Here's another thing, and this is one of the purposes of Pass Connect. Look around, learn from someone who has already solved similar problem or issues to speed your innovation. Now, you may not be able to implement the exact solution that somebody else did, but we've learned and we've seen and we've observed when you listen to others as to how they have solved, you're always able to pick an idea or two and implement similar solution. And I just wanted to share a funny example on the innovation of duct tape. People laughed when duct tape was innovated, but we all somehow use it, and it's one of the most important tools in our lives. If you don't have the right tool for the job, then the first thing that you go for would be duct tape, right? So no ideas are useless. Be creative, be open-minded, and just a little story on duct tape innovation. It was innovated during World War II accidentally, and now it's made all of our lives definitely different or easier in some way, fashion, or form. So we talked about, what innovation means, why should we be innovating, and now let's talk about the different stages of innovation. So the first thing would be recognize or identify that you have an issue at hand to solve for, because if you don't identify or you don't recognize or you refuse to accept that you need to change, then we can't really start that innovation journey. So the first thing is to identify where do you want to be, how do you want to differentiate, what do you want to do different. And then brainstorm ideas. And you don't have to do that in isolation. That is why we're here. We are your technology partners. And if you have an issue, talk to us and say, what if I did this? Is it feasible to cut down the 5 days of reporting that I do to half a day? It may sound ridiculous to you, but just throw it out there. If it's an idea, it's something that we can brainstorm and maybe help you achieve. Develop and explore. So we may say, sure, you can't really do half a day, but you potentially could do 1 day. However, if we did this and this and this, you could probably cut it down to half a day. And then you explore and you experiment and see how it's going to work. And eventually you get to a result that is much more closer to the real expectation. I guess the gist of my point is, when you have a challenge, as humans, we see and we go, well, I'm not sure really if I can get that, because it's such an obvious issue and everybody lives with it. Well, no. Here's the innovation model. Let's try, give it a chance, identify what is it that you want to solve for, discuss with us. Discussing ideas doesn't cost you. We'll explore with you. We'll show you what we've done for other customers by exploring the options. And then if you're not able to get to the exact finish line, at least you'll get there, to some degree, 50%, 75%, 80%, whatever that is. But rest assured, you will get closer to your end goal, okay? So here's what I wanted to share with you in terms of what we've done. We believe is real creativity for some of our customers. So what I did was I shared a few examples with you where we were creative in taking a number of our solutions, put them together to solve a single challenge. And that's why we wanted to talk about during this session that, when you have a challenge, think of it as, you're not the first person having this issue. Before you hit that roadblock, there are multiple others in the industry that they would have had similar issue. And where we help you is we would pull together our experience, pull the tools together, and sometimes we may use more than one tool, like in the fisheries solution example, there were a number of things that were needed. Traceability was one. Now, traceability applies to fisheries, but it may apply to food industry, and you may be, in a different industry, but similar requirements, such as traceability. Now, because we have a solution for traceability, we could take that experience and apply it to your specific challenge. And that's what I mean by, it's important to have conversations about, well, I need a solution, that's great, but here's my issue, what are my options? That's really what we're asking you to do. So a few examples that I shared with you was, the one that I pulled was high volume of transactions. We may have done a number of things for other clients on that, but I'm sure as a growing business, this is a very common issue. Either your reports are very slow, when you're trying to process something in Sage, the performance is affected because, there's no one single answer as to what you can do, but it depends on what you want to do, and we can help you. For example, is your process slow? Okay, then we could potentially archive some of the data and just leave you with the current data. So you're still not losing your historical data. You have reference somewhere because we have the tools to make it happen easily. So you have one area where you're looking at your archives and a second area where you're looking at live, right? That's one type of challenge and an innovation to help you get there. If you have performance issues, you're working with Sage and you have a lot of data, you have performance issues, we have some technical expertise where we can, build indexes, and I'm sorry I'm using a technical term here, but we can do things behind the scenes in SQL to make it faster, right? There's always a solution to a problem. A lot of times we have clients come to us and say, you know what, we're using Sage, and we have this gap, but this requirement is very specific to our industry. And that's exactly what we got when we were implementing the fisheries solution and the meat processing, traceability. And we said, what does traceability mean to you? Well, what it means is when we receive the raw product, we convert it and we sell it to the end client. If there's a recall, I need to be able to trace that product. And we said, that's simple, right? So we did that for multiple industries. We did that for meat processing, geese meat processing. We did for food processing, freezer food processing, and we did for the fisheries industry. It's the same fundamental solution for traceability where you are able to pull a report and say, this is the product and I have it sold to these 50 customers. Right? And we have the back-end solution that tracks it all behind the scenes for you. The other common challenge that we've come across is multiple data sources, and I need a single truth. Right? This is a very common one, and I talked about this earlier during my sessions. It is very common that a normal client would run more than one system in their environment for many reasons. You have a specific functionality, you are running an industry-specific solution, you have multiple needs. I made a reference to this client who has 15 different revenue streams, and therefore they use different systems. It is the reality. You need many systems. Do we have a solution for a single truth? Bass Bridge, right? The integration engine. Pull it all together, make sure the flows are consistent, and there you have it. Very common challenge. The other one is need important notifications, is emails, text messages. Again, going back to, we don't have the time to oversee and track every piece of your data element to say, How many orders are coming in? Are the shipments on time? Are the shipments out of the door? Are the customers notified? Well, that should all happen automatically, and you should just be dealing with exceptions. How many shipments are late today, and what do I need to do to get them out of the door, right? So we can build some important messages or notifications or alerts that come to you and say, 5 shipments are delayed, and they need to be out the door by tomorrow, right? And they are delayed because you have product A, B, C, D low in the inventory. So if you replenish that, your shipments will be out of the door. So it's not just getting the information promptly, but also being advised as what your next steps should be to solve that issue. We've done a number of implementations on alerts, and the returns on investment for the alert implementation is so quick, it's amazing, because right away you would save time to put fires, right? Or to put off fires. The next idea is capture the data quickly in the field and make it available in Sage. So what this means is, we have clients whereby they have the centralized ERP system, but their data collection is in the fields. There may be challenges to make the ERP available in the field. Either they don't have the connectivity, they don't have the license, the end users in the fields are not well trained to use an ERP system, so they need something very simple where they collect the data, bring it back, and just quickly sync into Sage. I'll use the fisheries example, very similar, where they had the fishermen coming to the docks, they would offload the fish, and they would need a very quick process to capture, to say, this is the catch of the day, put it in inventory so that it's packaged and put into storage. Because if you don't do that, the product goes stale. So the timing was very critical. So what we did was we built a solution that was web-based. It would collect data offline. What it means is there's no real-time connectivity to internet or Sage or anything. Just collect the data, have it in electronic format, and then they would go back office where there is connectivity and there is access to Sage. They would sync up their devices, and the data is available real-time, and they would continue the process. So that, again, that's an idea. If you have a requirement to collect data in the field where there is no connectivity with Sage, we have options that we can discuss with you. We talked about the option to have visibility into your employees' time, expenses, and cost. So if you're a project-based business, or you're a service-based or employee-based business where you need to be on top of your employee time, expenses, and project profitability, we've done a number of implementations where you're able to just refresh a page and see how you're doing on a project by pulling these different cost factors into your reporting needs. Just before the session, we did a session on BAS web reports where we showed you how you can make information available to your end users that are not necessarily Sage users, that are not necessarily technology users. It's just data available to them in a very small window specific to their needs, and we can make it happen with BAS web reports. This is the last one that I wanted to point out. Do we have anybody using Sage Intacct? Okay, great. So Sage Intacct is a SaaS-based product. It's in the cloud. You can have access to the data. You can run reports and download report by report. But if you needed an entire backup off-site, then we have a solution called BAS Sage Intacct Backup, where we would connect to the cloud, take a backup, and just put it offline somewhere on your server. We've seen clients use that very creatively. They do that, they have the data on their servers, and then they run reports by connecting to other systems. Okay? So if you have that need, we would love to share the solution and experience. The last one I have is integration with tools that you're already using. It doesn't have to be SharePoint. I'm just using that as an example. But we had a client that was using SharePoint. They had their documents all in SharePoint, and we created, using our tools, a very simple accounts payable, payment processing workflow. But let's say you're using any other system, any other tools, any other Microsoft tools like Teams, right? And you want to make it an integral part of your process. We can help you do that, right? It's all about what you have and where you want to be. And don't continue doing the way things you're doing today. Do it different, go beyond, do it differently so that you can go beyond the best practices. That's really our goal. So in having those conversations, we can share some of the ideas, some of the successes, some of the tools that we've used. We can combine and create a very unique solution to eliminate your gaps in your Sage or whatever that you're doing to run your business. Okay? With that, I thank you very much, and I'm sure I'll be speaking to you during the rest of the afternoon. Thank you.